I talked about Virgil. I talked about Nero. Did you really think I wouldn't talk about the true main character of Devil May Cry? Let's find out why this character is so beloved and considered one of the best main characters in the history of gaming. The legendary Devil Hunter, the Dark Knight, the son of Sparta, Dante. The first thing that I want to say about Dante is that his creation came from a very simple concept. Hideki Kamiya wanted to discover what it truly meant to be cool. He decided that being cool had nothing to do with drinking, smoking, swearing, or flirting. It was simply about having style. And from there, both Dante's personality and the gameplay of Devil May Cry emerged. Following in the footsteps of the now famous Resident Evil, Dante's style was exaggerated by pitting him against something even worse than monstrous zombies, horrifying demons. But instead of being afraid, Dante taunts these creatures, even doing so mid-combat with the taunt button, a button that should exist in every game. This was the first thing many of us saw of Dante and what drew us to him. Despite facing infernal creatures that in any other game would be a source of terror, he confronts them without showing even a hint of fear. Calmly speaking,
Are you the human, the son of Sparta who challenges the darkness, Mundus?
Block off, Featherface, or you can stick around and find out the hard way.
Before engaging them in intense close combat, not to mention transforming into a demon himself. And not only does Dante keep his cool when facing these monsters, in this first installment, which still tried to emulate Resident Evil a bit, especially during the first act, you can thoroughly explore the environment, even read documents left by the castle's former inhabitants. But every now and then, Dante's narration interrupts. I particularly remember that if you have him read a book detailing the taxes paid by the peasants, he suddenly thinks, why am I reading this? Of course, why would Dante bother with all this lore when he could be stylishly slaughtering an infernal army? And that's another thing. Something that was already rare in that era of gaming and is even rarer now is for the character and the player to have exactly the same motivation. This was seen in Tomb Raider. Lara Croft, despite being a very simple character, partly resonated so deeply with the players because she wasn't interested in saving the world or solving a mystery. She simply wants to have adventures and explore beautiful yet dangerous locations, which is exactly why the player bought the game. Dante enjoys fighting demons with style, which is exactly what the player wants to do. But, unlike Lara Croft, with Dante they tried to have the best of both worlds, and he was given a motivation beyond simply wanting to exterminate monsters. Once upon a time, there was a powerful demon named Sparta who awakened to justice and betrayed his own kind, single-handedly stopping an invasion. He remained in the human world and even fell in love with a woman, Eva, with whom he had twin sons, Virgil and Dante. Shortly after, he disappeared or died. Even today, we don't know what happened to Sparta. After his disappearance, the demon king Mundus ordered Sparta's family killed in revenge for his betrayal. Although the children survived, Eva was killed. Dante was only 8 years old, but he can't help feeling responsible for his mother's death. And this drives him to dedicate his life to exterminating demons while wearing around his neck the amulet she gave him as a child. Each demon he kills is one more act of revenge for his mother's death, waiting that someday the demon who gave the order will appear before him. So, when Trish, a mysterious woman identical to his mother, reveals that Mundus is about to break the barrier between the human and demonic worlds, he doesn't hesitate to embark on the adventure. Although this is how Dante's first adventure begins, I've just described 90% of everything interesting about this game, which focuses much more on its gameplay than on its story. Okay, that's not entirely true. They did try to do something with the narrative. The game is about the concept of paternal legacy, about how Sparta and Eva have given Dante what he needs to become humanity's hero. For most of the game we focus on Sparta's legacy, whose dark powers give Dante the strength to overcome the demons. When Phantom is defeated, he sees Sparta's silhouette in Dante. The moment that focuses the most on this demonic legacy is when Dante displays his great power by defeating his rival, Nello Angelo, who turns out to be his brother Virgil, possessed and corrupted by Mundus. After this victory, Dante's power-up is treated like a family reunion. The brothers chew amulets, a gift from their mother, transform their father's sword into the ultimate blade. This time, we're not seeing things from Phantom's point of view. The fact that we see Sparta's silhouette means that Dante now sees himself as a worthy successor to his father. But brilliantly, at the end, the game takes a turn and focuses on Eva's legacy. Even though Trish betrays Dante, he saves her and specifies that he did so only because she resembles his mother, revealing how he still feels responsible for her death and is trying to correct that mistake by rescuing someone who looks like her. This act makes Trish regret her loyalties and ends up helping Dante against Mundus at the beginning and end of the legendary battle.
What is the matter? Hearing the powers of human.
No.
Dante, you'll be okay. You can do it.
What? Mother.
Dante cries when he believes Trish has died, and she cries when it's all over. There, Dante says one of his most memorable lines.
Dante,
Trish. Devils never cry. These tears are a gift only humans have.
Making it clear that, despite all the darkness they carry because of their genetic origins, they are human because they are capable of loving and suffering, and therefore of crying. And with this ending, Dante was crowned a beloved and memorable character. The plot wasn't mind-blowing, sure, but it was cool to have such an apparently simple man gradually reveal guilt, goodness, and heroism. Now I have to say that I've skipped over a small, teeny tiny detail. In this story, Dante kills his brother. I've mentioned that Dante defeats Virgil very quickly and superficially because this first game, almost comically, gives very little weight to what should have been a key moment, not to mention a tremendously traumatic one for Dante. In fact, after this came Devil May Cry 2, which is one of the worst games ever made and completely destroyed Dante's personality, turning him into a serious, silent, and taciturn man with barely a couple of cool lines throughout the entire game. However, I have to mention it, even if only because this game marks the beginning of one of Dante's most interesting aspects, the fact that he's depressed. Yes, this cool and powerful man is one of the greatest examples of depression in video games. From this game onward, we can see signs of deep sadness. Here, Dante is serious and quiet because the game is poorly made, but many fans prefer to think that Dante is like this because after finding out his brother was still alive, he was forced to kill him, leaving him as the last living member of the Sparta family. Look, I've had enough of this game on screen, just turn it off already, let's get back to the good stuff. To distance itself from the disaster that was the sequel, it was decided that Dante's Return would be a prequel instead of a continuation. A prequel that would tell the story of the relationship between Dante and Virgil and how the latter ended up enslaved by Mundus. This relationship was so interesting that it elevated Dante, Virgil, and the franchise's overall plot from good to one of the best in gaming. I've discussed this fraternal relationship in detail in the Virgil video, so I'll refrain from commenting on it here. I'll leave the link to the video in the upper right. Right now, we're going to talk about Dante's development in this game, which was even subtitled Dante's Awakening. The first thing we see is that the young Dante is very different from how he will be in the future of the first installment. We see his swagger and his enjoyment of killing demons, but he has yet to acquire either his skill or his heroism. His attempt to save his pizza goes to hell when a demon manages to step on it. Trying to look cool while putting on his jacket is ruined by a sneeze, brought on by jumping around with his torso bare. He's still not afraid of the demons he faces, but he doesn't always manage to stay calm, much less have the last word. He manages it with Cerberus, but not with Jester or Agni and Rudra. However, the biggest difference is found in the first fight with Virgil, where, to the surprise of fans of the first game, he denies his father's legacy.
Why do you refuse to gain power? the power of our father, Sparta.
Father? I don't have a father. I just don't like you, that's all.
Okay, this sentence was mistranslated. Dante isn't denying that he has a father, he's simply saying that right now he doesn't care about his father, he only cares about defeating Virgil. And, as we all know, this novice Dante loses his first confrontation against his brother, and falls unconscious from his wounds after unlocking his devil trigger for the first time, the transformation he can only access through his demonic heritage. This defeat forces Dante to reevaluate his attitude. He begins to listen to Lady, who feels she must confront her evil father precisely because he is her father and she is responsible for her family. We subtly see in the next boss battle, Beowulf, that Dante is beginning to change. Beowulf wants to take revenge on Sparta because he cut out one of his eyes. Dante carries his father's legacy by fighting this great demon, and not only does he cut out his other eye, but he also says this.
Why do I have to take the heat for my father? Come on, man. Cut me some slack.
It seems like a normal, simple sentence, but it reveals that Dante has stopped ignoring his legacy and is beginning to accept the responsibility of being Sparta's son, which will lead him to become a hero like his father. Dante, selfishly, wanted the good parts of his legacy, but not the bad ones. He enjoyed the power, but he used it for himself. With great power comes great responsibility. It's when Dante accepts the responsibility of being Sparta's son that his powers increase. This alone already allows Dante to go toe-to-toe with Virgil in their second confrontation. But when the awful Arkham reveals his true intentions and becomes the game's true villain, Dante, for the first time, drops the jokes and nonsense and gets serious. He begs Lady to stop climbing the tower for her own survival and to let him kill both Virgil and Arkham. The fact that she gives him her rocket launcher symbolizes that he now also bears her responsibility, a weapon as heavy as the sword his father bequeathed to him. When the doppelganger appears, Dante laughs, aware that just a day ago he might have learned something from his shadow, but now he already knows everything he needs, and it's nothing more than another obstacle. After collaborating with his brother to defeat Arkham once and for all, Virgil demonstrates that, unlike Dante, he is stuck. While Dante asks for the confrontation to end peacefully, Virgil remains fixated on his obsession.
I need more power.
If Virgil were to win, the portal would remain open and the demons would be free to kill and inflict on others the same trauma these two brothers carry, forever scarred by their mother's death. Dante fights precisely to protect humanity from a repeat of the tragedy, fighting with the same will as his father and the same sense of responsibility as Lady to confront a family member willing to harm others. Dante has awakened, and that's why he emerges victorious. Virgil decides to stay in the demon world, while Dante returns to Lady and gives her back her rocket launcher. She sees that Dante has really been affected by being separated from his brother, perhaps forever, and they have this iconic exchange that I've shown in other videos already, but I don't care because it's fucking cinema.
Are you crying?
It's only the rain.
The rain already stopped.
Devils never cry.
I see. Maybe somewhere out there, even a devil may cry when he loses a loved one. Don't you think?
Maybe.
However, this and the sequence we see immediately afterwards, in which Dante suddenly perks up at the idea of killing demons, is a hint of something that will become a recurring problem for Dante. It's not that Dante doesn't really enjoy killing demons, of course he does, but he'll get used to masking his true emotions with how others perceive him, as a cheerful, stylish man.
I love this. This is what I live for! I'm absolutely crazy about it!
The Devil May Cry anime allowed us to see Dante's true personality a bit more, and it was the real beginning of the theory that Dante was depressed. He has great difficulty empathizing with and relating to normal people. He becomes passive and melancholic when he spends too much time without cheering himself up by killing demons. And it's even implied that he constantly eats his favorite foods, pizza and strawberry ice cream, because they combat his sadness. But I haven't seen enough of the anime to do the deep, detailed analysis you deserve. So for now, let's leave it at that and move on to the next game, which will give us far more to talk about than you might think. Despite being almost 40 years old and effectually nicknamed Uncle Dante by fans, he's not only as stylish and competent as in Devil May Cry 1, but he also sports the over-the-top swagger of Devil May Cry 3, giving us some of his most famous moments: the dance he uses to trick Bale, the poem he writes to his penis, or the impromptu theater he puts on with Agnes. Starting with Devil May Cry 3, Dante always has at least one scene in which he intensely enjoys something. And it's not something trivial or superficial like killing demons, no. In the third game, Dante reveals that he knows about and enjoys music. In the fourth, he knows about theater. He improvises an entire sequence, all the paraphernalia he puts on with Agnes. And in the fifth, he proves to be a master of dance. It may seem absurd to see Dante like this and say he might be depressed, but I see it clearly. It reminds me of The Mentalist, where the main character suffers a terrible tragedy, but instead of going full Batman, he acts with great joy. Dante is aware that he tends towards apathy and sadness, so when he comes across something that brings him joy, he goes for it 110%, because that's what his mother would have wanted, for him to be happy. Right at the beginning, there's something that was probably accidental but works really well. The first time Dante appears, he doesn't act like himself. He suddenly bursts in and kills Sanctus and several members of the Order of the Sword without any explanation, in absolute silence, as if we were seeing the Dante from Devil May Cry 2. It's only when he faces Nero that he gradually begins to regain his charisma. He mocks him by imitating his wielding of the sword, and when Nero rebels his Devil Bringer, he starts talking and showing off, just like old times. We know from Devil May Cry 5 that Dante suspected his connection to Nero from the very beginning, although he only became certain after seeing him with Yamato. Could it be that Dante temporarily shakes off the depression we see in the anime and Devil May Cry 2 when he realizes he still has a family member out there, that he's not alone? During the first half of the game, Dante barely appears. He deliberately stays in the shadows to let Nero be the hero. In fact, Dante is practically on vacation during this story. I mean, in the first game, he almost killed Mundus, the Demon King. Who could possibly pose a threat to Dante after that? Nobody! Even when you face him controlling Nero, Dante defeats him without much trouble. Sure, he gets tired, but he didn't even use his Devil Trigger. So Dante, in a way, gives Nero this adventure so he can grow stronger and uncover all the mysteries surrounding the Order for himself, as well as test him to see if he'll fall into the same power-hungry obsession as his father. When Nero is captured by Sanctus, Dante takes over. He doesn't do anything particularly interesting except for two very specific moments. When he faces Agnes, a mad scientist who has infused humans with demonic energy to grant them greater power, including himself, and Dante emerges victorious, Agnes asks him why he's so powerful if he is only half demon. Dante's answer is the first half of the franchise's message. We see the second half when Sanctus loses to Nero, and he unknowingly completes Dante's argument.
How can there be such a difference between us?
You surrendered your humanity. It's that simple.
But you are not human. So why am I inferior?
You assume humans are weak. Okay, yeah, their bodies lack the physical ability of a demon. But humans possess something that demons don't.
What? What is it that demons lack?
Won't you give me strength?
Never could take those legends too literally. But I do know that Sparta had a heart. A heart that could love another person. A human. And that is what you lack.
The second interesting moment is when Dante finally manages to break through the Savior's armor and give the Yamato to Nero. He throws out a cocky line, but when Nero doesn't respond, he gets really scared, and for the only time in the entire game, we hear Dante sound afraid. Not just because he might have failed and the mission to stop the Savior has become more complicated, but perhaps because he's arrived too late and lost the only family he had left.
Time to wake up, kid! You're missing out on all the fun! Nero!
The ending is beautiful, with Nero accidentally passing Dante's test, proving that he won't end up like Virgil. But we had to wait a decade to see the end of the story of Sparta's son. Devil May Cry 5 went to great lengths to take everything fans had theorized about Dante and confirm it, making him a deep character not just in theory, but also in practice. Here, it's more clear that Dante is depressed. His story begins with him asleep in a chair in his office without light or water, because he's too discouraged to work and doesn't care about having electricity or being able to flush the toilet. Just from this introduction, I'm no psychologist, but I'd say that he's got a pretty fucking big depression. Now he has Nero, sure, but he doesn't tell him that he's his nephew, and we see that he deliberately keeps their relationship somewhat distant. We don't know exactly why Dante hasn't told Nero who his father is at this point. It may be because he knows Nero takes family matters very seriously and doesn't want to put him through any pain. Or it may be because he doesn't want to tell him that he was the one who killed his father, since Dante believes he killed Virgil. Despite having family right there, his emotional inability to be honest keeps him alone. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a little One Punch Man situation. We can choose whether to play on normal, hard, or Dante must die, but at this point, Dante must be so absurdly powerful that it's like he's playing on easy. You can't enjoy killing demons in style if they die from a single hit. Moreover, it's here that we see most clearly how Dante uses his swagger as a mask to hide what he really thinks and feels. It's not all the time. The guy is cocky because he enjoys it. We see him multiple times acting cool when no one's watching, smiling like a kid. But at the same time, he knows how others see him and what they expect of him, so he exaggerates his personality when it suits him to hide in plain sight. We see it in his first level, where he cracks a joke, but when Lady and Trish walk away, he reveals what's really on his mind.
I know. Smells like hot garbage. Guess I get to see it with my own eyes. If it really is you.
Or at the beginning of Mission 16, where Dante repeats a phrase, but as soon as he realizes no one is listening, he reveals his concern for Nero, who still doesn't know that Virgil is up to no good again.
No hard feelings, guys, but this is my gig. Trust me, Nero. This one's gonna be a little too much for you.
Along with Devil May Cry 3, this is Dante's most personal game, because his enemy is none other than his brother, the only person who could help him reclaim the life he lost, yet he is utterly and completely incapable of saying how he feels. It's more than likely that he isn't even fully aware of how he feels. When Urizen starts losing to Dante, they have this dialogue.
Not about loss. Strength is a choice. Fighting like hell to protect what's important. Threw away everything you ever had. Wondering true power.
Some believe that Dante is lying or spouting some cheesy one-liner, but that's only a half-truth. Dante really believes what he's saying. He believes in using power to protect others. That's what he did in Devil May Cry 3, and that's what he does here when he impels himself with Rebellion, the only time in the entire saga that Dante gains more power intentionally. all to reach Nero in time and save him. But he should also say something else. He should throw in Urizen's face that they've both suffered the same loss. They've both lost their mother, and they both lost each other. We don't know if Dante was thinking about this and isn't saying it to protect himself and maintain his mask, or if his emotional incapacity simply prevents him from considering it. The last two missions are the most important in the saga from a narrative standpoint, but I can't focus too much on Dante when discussing them. The characters who really change and evolve during them are Nero and Virgil, and you can check out my videos about these two to see it all in more detail. What really allows us to better understand Dante is the ending itself and why it eases the depression he was carrying, even though it's an ending that would be sad and dark in any other game, being trapped in hell, eternally fighting hordes of demons. With everything we've seen, we know that Dante desires three things. 1. Protect humanity. 2. Be with his family. 3. Kill demons in style. And lo and behold, in this ending, Dante has all three! And isn't this exactly what the player wants too? As in Devil May Cry 1, there's a perfect synchronization between Dante and the player, who wants Dante to emerge victorious, fight alongside Virgil, and has bought the game to kill demons in style. Going in reverse order, what better place to kill demons in style than hell, where the most powerful ones are found in great numbers. Then, at last, he's with Virgil. Thanks to Nero, their death duels have become a friendly, fraternal rivalry. They finally regain the relationship they had before the tragedy when they were children. The last one is a bit more complicated. Yes, Dante protects humanity by cutting the Qliphoth, but it's not something he hasn't done before. The thing is, Dante is specifically protecting Virgil's humanity. He tells both Nero and Virgil on 2 occasions that he's going down with him to keep an eye on him. Dante treats Virgil as if he were a power addict, taking his first steps towards recovery, and he stays by his side precisely to ensure he never falls back into that dark abyss of pure obsession.
Don't you dare say it, Jackpot!
And that's where the story ends, of how a character turned out to be simple but interesting at the same time. So much that being trapped in hell turned out to be the happiest ending he could have had. I'm glad I got to talk about Dante. His presence in Devil May Cry 5 is so perfect, both in story and in gameplay, that I don't know if I want him to return in the next game. He's perfect, and I don't want anything ruining it. I don't want a Devil May Cry 2 2. I'm happy that I've done this video, and see ya next time.